COVID-19 pandemic. Visitors are invited to join board members in rising to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilwoman Freeman,
Here.
Councilman Perticone,
Here.
Councilwoman Romeo,
Here.
Councilman Weiner,
Here.
Supervisor Sealy,
Here.
and attorney for the town. Thank
Very
you.
good. Okay, with the exception of Madam Clerk, if you're not up to talk, just try to be mindful of the mute function. Thanks for joining us. This should be our last meeting of the year, I think, unless something else comes up. The good news is it's nothing that we have to do physically, so we can continue to meet virtually, and we'll probably continue to do so at least through January. A few things I wanted to just point out for people watching at home. Paying of property taxes has been something that the pandemic has impacted. We are looking to continue what we did for school taxes and what was done for last year's town and county taxes in the latter part after the pandemic hit. And that's really no in-person payment of taxes unless you're paying in cash. We will have the drop box set up and obviously encourage people to mail. We are going to be more quick and efficient in getting people receipts of their tax payments. So it's something we continue to refine and want to make sure that we are being safe to the public, not encouraging people to come to town hall, but by the same token, also making sure that people have confidence in not doing it in person. There is going to be obviously a payment online option. The county has waived in the past the 3%. We're not certain if they're going to be able to do that, as it does incur costs for them. So I'm not sure if that 3% will be waived for online payment. One other thing that's come up for a lot of our seniors and our residents who are disabled or veterans, many take advantage of a town and county property tax exemption that's offered on top of your STAR exemption. Generally, there's an income verification for some of those that we, in the past, process largely in person with our assessor's office in town. I know Assessor Yorstad and her counterparts across the state, as well as now the town supervisors and the county executive, are really encouraging the state to have some action, whether it's an executive order or legislation, to automatically renew the income verification so that we're not having hundreds of people coming to town hall, particularly our older vulnerable residents. And the reason for that is also we don't want people to miss out on the exemption because they're afraid to come to town hall to verify their income. So it works two ways as well. So we're working on that. We've done a very nice job setting a example, really leading the way with regards to COVID testing, with regards to emergency food. We'll continue to do that. I want to give a shout out to our Department of Public Works commissioners, Kylie and Deputy Commissioner McGee, Maria Vecchio from my office, Nate Stone on the technology end, for really putting together a really efficient testing system that was first in the county and continues to kind of be the gold standard. So we'll continue to find ways to help during the pandemic and kind of exceed expectations as to what a town should be doing. That's all the announcements I have. We have a pretty lengthy agenda, about 32 agenda items. We do have two public hearings tonight that will take place at 7:35. Both of those relate to the town's community development block grant program, and public hearings we're required to hold. We'll get through a lot of our business before then, but if anyone is watching from home and wishes to comment on those public hearings, there are instructions as to how you can do so. If you are here and follow the link that was provided on the town's Facebook page, when the public hearing time comes, you simply raise your hand. If you are joining via phone, I believe it is *9 to raise your hand when those public hearings start. And we will go through those instructions again once the public hearings begin. I might actually call on Nate Stone to run through it because I don't have it readily in front of me. But anyway, with that, we will start with, we did not receive any public input to supervisor@ironquit.org, and we can now move on to the financial report. Madam Comptroller?
Thank you. The 2020 financial results as of November 30th, 91.7% of the year has elapsed, and the town's total expenses, actual expenditures, and encumbrances of 29 million are lower than budget at 78.6%. Actual expenses are 27,651,000 or 75% of budget, and encumbrances are 1,352,000, 3.7% of budget. Typically, encumbrances are still sizable at this point in the year as departments continue to commit to services, supplies, and commodities that will be needed for the remainder of the year. The general fund total expenses of approximately 17,174,000 are below budget at 78%. The actual expenditures total 16,447,000 or 74.7% of budget, while encumbrances total 727,000 or 3.3% of budget. Overall, the total expenses of the three highway funds are 4,375,000 or 80.2% of budget, under the 91.7% of the year that has elapsed. Actual expenditures of 3,900,000 represent 72.2% of budget, and encumbrances total 435,000, accounting for 7.9% of budget. The costs are driven by expenses and encumbrances for gas, fuel, road salt, equipment parts, and road paving. The current library expenditures are 2,234,000 or 82.4% of budget. Expenses in the sewer fund of 3,325,000 are below budget at 79.3%, with actual expenditures accounting for 3,229,000, 77% of budget, and encumbrances of 96,000, accounting for 2.3% of budget. Stormwater drainage expenses are approximately 70.7% of budget, a total of 885,000. Actual expenditures total 845,000, 67.4% of budget, and include a Vector truck purchase, while the remaining 40,000 is encumbered. Again, this month, the expenditures excluding encumbrances for the town, as well as the three major funds, are less than the 91.7% of the year that has elapsed. The actual expenditure percentage exclusive of encumbrances for the town is 75%. The general fund is 74.7%. Sewer fund is 77%, and the collective highway funds is 72.2%. The general fund has received revenue of 17.6 million, approximately 81% of budget. Real estate tax of 11,185,000 has been collected. The town has recorded 8 months of sales tax revenue in the amount of 3,100,000 or 59.8% of budget. Per capital state aid of 613,000 is scheduled for payment in December, and mortgage tax for the first quarter of 249,000 has been received, or 30.5% of budget. Other sources of revenue received is 89.2%. At month end, the library has confirmed revenue of 2,600,000 or 96.2% of budget. 85.3% or 4,635,000 of highway revenue has been received. The sewer fund has received 100% of its revenue at 4,156,000, and the stormwater drainage has also verified 100% of its budgeted revenue of 849,000. Regarding the entire town, 30,945,000 or 85.7% of revenue and appropriated fund balance has been received to date. Approximately 17,500,000 is from real estate tax. This concludes my financial report for the month of November 2020. You're on mute, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you, Diana. Any questions for the comptroller? All right, I'll take a motion to accept the financial report.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Financial report is approved. Approval of minutes?
November 4th, 2020, special town board meeting to approve the preliminary budget.
Motion
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Questions, comments, revisions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved.
November 10th, 2020, the workshop meeting.
Motion
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Questions, comments, or revisions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved.
November 12th, 2020, special town board meeting, public hearing on the budget.
Motion to approve.
Moved.
Thank you, Mr. Perdicone. And a second.
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 Thank you. Questions, comments, revisions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Minutes are approved.
November 17, 2020, the regular town board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Moved.
Mrs. Freeman, thank you. And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. Any questions, comments, or revisions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved.
November 19, 2020, special town board meeting to adopt the 2021 budget.
Motion to approve.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Questions, comments, revisions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved.
Items for board action.
Yes, we can go to item for board action number 3, Madam Clerk. Thank you.
Approving the reappointment of a planning board member.
Motion
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you. This first resolution tonight, at the request of Ms. Ivers, would reappoint Alan Richards to the town's planning board for a term to expire December 31st, 2027. Mr. Richards has served on the board for several years, brings very good insight to all items before the board. His experience prior to being an Arundecoit resident had experience in the city of Rochester in a similar role, and is a very good asset, so I recommend his reappointment. Any questions, comments, revisions, any questions on the resolution?
No, but I would like to make a comment, Supervisor, and I'd like to publicly thank Alan for his service to our community.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Romeo. No further questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 4, approving the reappointment of a zoning board of appeals member.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
Thank you. In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. This resolution would reappoint Sean Hart to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire December 31st, 2027. Mr. Hart was appointed earlier this year, has brought a good perspective to the board, and I enthusiastically recommend a positive vote on said resolution. Any questions or comments?
I'd again like to thank Mr. Hart for his service. Having served on these volunteer boards, we very much appreciate everyone's service.
Absolutely. As I always tell our servants on these boards, your paycheck's in the mail, because they are voluntary and it's a lot of hours that are put forth, and it's a valuable public service that we cannot live without. And I will note, on the Zoning Board of Appeals, we currently have a vacancy for a alternate, and we'll hopefully be appointing someone in January. So if people are interested, they can email kivers@arundecoit.org or supervisor@arundecoit.org. It is a labor of love, but on this matter, we'll reappoint Mr. Hart. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Item number 5, approving the reappointment of a zoning board of appeals chairman.
Motion to approve
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you. Can I ask an opinion of council here, and I might need to table this? Andrew or Carrie, the term of the zoning board of appeals chair, unless I'm mistaken, is it a 7-year term, or is it a 2-year term as the chair?
The chairman role is typically a 2-year term. I'm not, and I'll have to verify, I think it's the chairmanship, not Mr. Hinman's,
Yeah.
seat that is up for,
So, okay, this is easy enough then. So if it's a 2-year term, I'm gonna put forth an amendment to the resolution, which would amend any reference of 2027 to be changed to 2022.
20
Nope,
23?
2 years. Nope, 2 years, end of 2022, 21, 22, correct? It's a 2-year.
Okay.
Okay, so that would be in 2 instances in the resolution. The 2027s would be changed to 2022, which would be a 2-year term for Mr. Hinman. Can I have a motion to accept that amendment
Move.
in a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the resolution has been amended. We're now asked to call the motion at hand. It would be to approve Mr. Hinman on an amended resolution as chairman of the zoning board for a term that would expire December 31st, 2022. Mr. Hinman has been a longstanding chair of the zoning board. He does a really wondrous job in conducting the business, is very thoughtful, manages a lot of difficult cases, but always does so with very good and sound parliamentary, application of parliamentary procedure, but also making sure that the public hearings that are conducted are done so with transparency and integrity. So I'm very happy he's willing to continue to serve in this role. Every 2 years when I ask him, I think he might be ready to hang it up, but I think he'll do this as long as we want him, and I'm very happy to recommend his reappointment. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 6, authorizing a settlement agreement with One Medley Center LLC.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. Madam Assessor, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So this is a settlement agreement with One Medley Center Parkway, owned by One Medley Center LLC. The subject of the settlement is the former Macy's building, which is independently owned by Flom Management. It is not part of the larger mall development project, and it is not subject to any pilot agreements. This location has struggled to find long-term market rate tenants since the Macy's closed. Like a lot of large retail buildings, as retail continues to sort of go virtually, these properties are struggling. This property is currently vacant, with both tenants having abandoned their leases in 2020 due to citing COVID-19 as a reason for their closures. The property brought a grievance and an Article 7 in 2019. The owner and I came to a stipulated agreement for the 2020 assessment. This settlement presented today is to settle the 2019 Article 7. The settlement puts the market value for the property at the same market value that we agreed to for 2020. That market value is currently $2,967,000. I believe this is a fair settlement for the property, given the struggle for retail properties that are having, located in mall locations. They're kind of needing to reinvent themselves these days. The assessment for the property was dropped from $3,547,600 to $2,877,990. The town will have to pay approximately $4,131 in refunds as a part of this settlement for the 2019 taxes. There is a hold on the assessment through 2022. Just to let you all know, there is some good news with this property. It has been publicly announced that Rochester Regional Hospital will be moving their nursing school into this building. They will be occupying the entire property. And this is, in my opinion, a positive reuse, long-term reuse for the space. And I would encourage you to approve the settlement.
Thanks, Assessor Yorstad. Just a few other things. We do these, we're not allowed to move forward with these without the approval and consent of the school district. The school district did sign off on this. All taxing jurisdictions, total refunds would be $32,496. So as the town is only a small fraction of total taxation, always good to point out, ours is a small chunk of that. I'm glad we are getting this resolved. I think it's good for the long-term viability. Amy is right. There is a tenant, and sometimes when people hear hospital, they think, oh, no taxes, but the hospital will be, Rochester Region will be leasing space from the private owner, so it stays on the tax rolls and probably has an enhanced assessed value. So this is all good, and you'll see another one after this subsequently. I'm glad we're getting a lot of these larger legacy tax Article 7 cases Amy inherited out of the way. So good job, Madam Assessor. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 7, authorizing a settlement agreement with Sears Roebuck and Company.
Motion to adopt?
Moved.
In a second?
Second.
All right, Amy, let's go to the other end of the mall, which is a little bit similar, but a little different in the outcome. But please, an explanation, please.
Right. So the subject for this settlement is the former Sears building, which was independently owned by Sears. It was sold in 2016 to 1733 Ridge Road LLC, which is the mall developer. They own, owns the entire property, and Sears was kind of added to that. Prior to that, Sears had brought grievances and Article 7s in 2013, 2014, 2015, and 2016. Those are the years that are part of this settlement. There was originally an agreement agreed upon for a settlement at $2.8 million, but before it was finalized, Sears was headed into bankruptcy. They backed out of the settlement before it was finalized. As I said, they have been continuing to claim that the value for that building was the $1.2 million that they were able to sell it for to the mall developer. This, of course, was a bankruptcy sale and not a market sale. So we were in the process of getting an appraiser for this property, and we were headed to court last month. Tom Fink let me know that they had a new contact at Sears. He asked the attorney to take our settlement back to them. We also had some additional information when we went back to the Sears contact, letting them know that the building had been sold for $2.5 million. And they did agree to settle at that price for all 4 years. It is $1 million drop from 3.5 for all 4 years. There are large refunds associated with this settlement. The town will pay approximately $26,000 in settlements, and the total refunds, including the towns, are $197,140. So this is a substantial settlement. The school district is on board with this agreement. As Dave said earlier, we can't go forward without the school district's approval in East Arundecoit School District. This settlement, if approved, will avoid a trial, which would be an added expense in addition to the appraisal, which would be a hefty expense. I believe we would end up paying refunds even after a trial, at which point settling this really makes the most sense. This gets an old case off the books, and we can move forward with the property without anything kind of hanging over it. So any questions?
Just to echo what Amy said, I think we would, if we did go through a trial and an appraisal, the lengthy process. First of all, there's a time opportunity cost of something not being resolved. I think she's right, and I take her recommendation to heart that I think it would be lowered So if you do a cost benefit analysis, which isn't the only way we determine if of course we want a fair settlement, but I think this is the most prudent course of action, and I recommend that we take our very capable assessor's advice on this one and adopt the resolution to settle. Any further questions?
I would agree with you, Mr. Supervisor, and I'd also like to take a moment and thank Madam Assessor for a lot of hours and a lot of invisible time that went into bringing this to us tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we're chipping away. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Item number 8, declaring intent of the town board to serve as lead agency pursuant to State Environmental Quality Review Act regarding a local law to amend Town Code Chapter 235, Article 4, RR, R1, R2, R3 residential districts.
Thank you. Motion to adopt?
Move.
And take Ms. Freeman in a second.
Second.
Ms. Romeo wins. Ms. Ivers, an explanation, if you will.
Yes, the proposed zoning amendment to Article 4 of Chapter 235, because it would change the allowable or permitted uses in a district that encompasses more than 25 acres, it's a type 1 action under seeker. Therefore, the town board needs to declare its intent to serve as lead agent for the purposes of seeker. And that's what this action is doing. And so then next month's meeting, seeker can continue and be concluded. And then you can move on after that point to make any decisions related to this proposed action.
Thank you, Carrie. Any questions or comments from the board? And we very well might be taking this up next month. I think we have some feedback we received from the public and the other land use boards that we're gonna try to incorporate, but hopefully moving forward with these revisions to the town code in the new year. Any questions or comments?
I just want to thank Carrie for her hard work on this. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, you can thank her, but she loves this stuff, so she should be thanking us. Just kidding. Just kidding. Thank you very much, Carrie. This is job well done, and it's going to be a good modifications to the code in the long run. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Item number 9, authorizing the purchase of one 2021 pickup truck.
Motion
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Ms. Ivers, would you please explain this purchase of a vehicle?
Yeah, happy to. So the animal control officer has a pickup truck that is 2007, more miles than I probably should say out loud. It's at the time where it's getting to the point where making repairs is becoming very costly and probably inefficient. This is really an opportunity to provide the equipment that the animal control officer needs, largely to carry out some significant duties, including removal of I'm trying to think of a nice way to say it, carcasses that need to be removed from the public right of way or from private property. This is also the vehicle that's used when trapped wildlife needs to be removed from a property. So this is really the equipment that's needed.
Thanks, Carrie. And the winning bid was, I believe, to Joe Cassoni's Chrysler Complex. Is that correct?
It was. I apologize. Yes, and so attached in the to the resolution, you'll see the winning bid of the mini bid. The total cost comes in at just over $30,000. That includes the vehicle that will be equipped with the lift gate, which is critical piece of equipment, and also the hazard emergency lights that are affixed to the top of the truck.
Thanks. And I'll just say this is a visible vehicle. It goes to people's homes, and we want, obviously functional, but we want to make sure that we're not having something unsightly representing the town. So I'm glad we're turning over this vehicle. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Item number 10, approving the tentative agreement with CSEA White Collar Unit for a successor contract.
Motion to adopt.
Move.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Perdicone. Mr. Vinette, explanation, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We met with the white collar representatives and we hammered out a 4-year deal. Our goal is to offer a fair wage and reduce our long-term liabilities such as retiree health insurance. We met those goals. Would like to thank our team, Maria Vecchio, and of course, Comptroller Marsh, and the white collar representatives, President Steve McDaniels, Rose Hosbach, and the rest of their team. We did this in 2 sessions and it worked out very well. So I ask you to support this.
Thank you, Jason. And I'll just note the wage, in addition to some of the concessions on long-term healthcare obligations, the wages over a 4-year contract, effective next year, a $1,000 lump sum for every white collar staff member, and in the out years 2.5, 2.75, 2.95% increase. I'll note our white collar workers are for the most part into the mid to lower salaried workers. So frankly, we look to enhance from a percentage point of view some of these compensations when we do these contracts a little bit more because it has a larger impact. As such, the lump sum. So that's something we're looking to do is put upward pressure on some of our lower to mid-wage workers. And you'll see a resolution at the end of the meeting that works off that as well. So I'm glad we get this resolved. It was very smooth negotiations, and my thanks to Jason, his team, and to the White Collar Union, their leadership team as well. Any questions or comments?
I just want to say,
I just
job well done. I was curious when the lump sum would be distributed to our folks.
That lump sum is actually just a flat dollar amount raised for every employee in that unit.
Gotcha, okay.
So it'll be spread over the year.
Probably poorly put on my hand. It's just a flat,
Thank you.
flat dollar amount.
No, I just want to concur with the supervisor. I think you guys did a wonderful job. Thank you so much for what you do, Jason, and the rest of the team.
Very good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And the resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, please call up the first public hearing.
All right. Public hearing number 1 on the matter of allocating funds awarded through the CARES Act as an amendment to the Arundequoit 2019-2020 Community Development Block Grant Program Annual Plan.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Move.
Thank you, Mr. Perdicone. In a second,
Second.
Mr. Weiner gets it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the hearing is now open. Before I ask for a, actually, I'll probably explain this one. But I just want to share the call-in information, just so people have it. I'm gonna flash it on the screen for just a minute or so, if you permit me, which involves me having to share my screen, which is always a crapshoot here. Okay. So now the call-in numbers you'll see there. Oh no, don't do that. So if people are calling in to the this meeting via phone, the number is 929-205-6099. Webinar ID is 859-0205-9246. The password is 12-15-2020. If you are on right now and wish to comment on this public hearing, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. I'm going to leave this up for another minute or so, and probably will do so for the next public hearing as well, just so people are aware of how they can participate. Okay. All right. So the first public hearing tonight relates to the Community Development Block Grant Program in an amendment for the 2019-2020 Block Grant Program year. This would actually amend a previous amendment we made to the program last June, or excuse me, this past June. to create a grant program for small businesses impacted by the COVID epidemic. That grant program, known as in short as RISE, awarded nearly $300,000 to approximately 75 small businesses in Irondequoit who had been impacted and had their revenue significantly impacted by the COVID economic shutdown. So now in December, we find ourselves in a little bit different of a scenario. A lot of society and our businesses, economic activities is back open. I hope businesses are recovering. However, with the designation of orange zones, there are certain industries since really late November have been forced to shut down or significantly modify their operations. We were allowed to work off the existing framework of the program, which was created by amending our 2019-2020 block grant program. This would add additional funds to the RISE program and spell out what the second phase of this program would be. It would, at this point, recommend an additional $150,000 to the program. We've done an assessment of the number of businesses we think could benefit from this, and I think that's a comfortable number. We still have about $75,000 from the existing program that we would fold into this, and we think that's a number that will get the coverage that we need. I hope we don't go into a red zone where more businesses would shut down. I wouldn't be surprised if, right now it's just 14609, 14621 primarily that are impacted. It's not out of the realm of possibility that those restaurants, salons, personal care industries throughout town might have to go and experience a similar shutdown. The good news is the orange zone has been modified now, so a lot of these businesses, with the exception of restaurants, would not have to shut down pending new testing requirements. But for those who are experiencing this, what I consider disproportionate hardship, it would create a grant program recognizing they're in a different scenario. A tough year for all businesses, but one that's tougher on them because of the orange zone imposition. So with that, the public hearing is now open. We have one participant who's on as an attendee. If they wish to speak and address the board on this, they can hit *9. I'll give it about 15 seconds. Again, it's *9 on your phone if you're dialing in. We just have one attendee right now. Okay, so with that, I will take a motion to close the public hearing.
Moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the public hearing is now closed. Madam Clerk, item for action 1A, if you will.
Allocating funds awarded through the CARES Act as an amendment to the Irondequoit 2019-2020 Community Development Block Grant Program Annual Plan.
May I have a motion to adopt?
Move.
And a second? Mr. Wayner, second?
Second.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Again, this would amend the 1920 Federal Community Development Block Grant Annual Plan using CARES Act funding that was awarded to the town. This would allocate $150,000 to the Revitalizing Irondequoit Small Business Economy Grant Program, also known as RISE, to help businesses currently facing new orange zone restrictions under state guidelines as we deal with the pandemic. Any questions or comments? I will just say we've already, since we announced this, have had several inquiries, and the good news is we can get this money out the door pretty quickly. I think we have about a dozen businesses we can get cash to soon. If you have questions, you can email supervisor@irondequoit.org or go to irondequoit.org. We have a very informative page to help you navigate this grant program. With that, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Public hearing number 2 on the matter of amending the Irondequoit Community Development Block Grant Annual Plan for the 2018-2019 program year.
Motion to open public hearing.
Move.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing is now open. The proposed amendment to our 2018-2019 action plan looks to reallocate money that had initially been appropriated for the town's turnaround playground program, which seek to turn vacant, blighted properties into playgrounds. We were able to do that and use funding to do that. We have some unexpended funds from that particular initiative that we are looking now to reallocate for the purposes of playground construction within federal CDBG zones. So Mr. Kiley and Ms. McGee will make some recommendations to the board as to where we might allocate that funding, and I think it would be best served in that regard. The hearing is now open. Again, I'm going to give about 30 seconds. If you do wish to address the board on this public hearing, you may hit *9. Need some like hold music or wait music. Okay. Hearing no one from the public wishing to address the board on the public hearing, I'll now take a motion to close public hearing.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The hearing is now closed. Madam Clerk, 2A, please.
Authorizing the amending of the Arundecoit Community Development Block Grant Annual Plan for the 2018-2019 program year.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you. A public hearing having just been held at 7:35 December 15, 2020. This resolution would authorize the adoption of an amendment to the 2018-2019 CDBG plan to reallocate funding for playground construction. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, did we leave off at IT?
We did. IT, authorizing the supervisor to enter into a contract with Fusion Digital LLC for information technology services.
All right. Motion to adopt.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Stone, if you're there, a rare explanation from the basement. We don't normally get this opportunity, so go away, Nate. Just no filibusters, okay? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and not only has this contract provided value in the sense that it's allowed us to deal with the day-to-day issues regarding technology, it really has allowed us to execute a number of significant projects in partnership with Nate. And we've made some, thanks to the board's support, have made some very considerable upgrades to our town's IT infrastructure, and Fusion has been a valued partner in that. So I'm happy that we're renewing with them and recommend a yes vote. Any questions or comments?
Dave, just one comment. When we were interviewing, you know, we've come a long way since they've been on board, you know what I mean? And we really have, and I just want to thank Nate as well too. But, you know, Kevin said there's still work to be done, but from where he started to where we are today, we have really come a long way. So thanks to everyone that's been involved.
And thanks, John. And I'll note Nate does a very extraordinary job as our IT director. He is a former RIT film student, so he has the IT in there. But Nate has done an amazing job, and I think Nate has a natural instinct to do this, but has done a really good job. And there's nothing Nate can't do, and certainly this has helped him manage the demands as we go along. But yes, Nate, thank you for your leadership on this. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 12, authorizing the purchase of 2 new police vehicles.
Motion to adopt
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you. Chief, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. If this resolution is adopted, it would provide the opportunity for the Article Police Department to purchase 2 police vehicles. These vehicles will replace 2 of the oldest vehicles that are currently in our fleet. The purchase of the vehicles is coming from funding reimbursement to the town, so therefore there's no impact on the 2020 budget or the 2021 budget for these purchases. Vehicles would be purchased through Van Borel Ford, who has been awarded the necessary bid for this. And purchase price for each vehicle is just over $36,600, and that includes all necessary equipment.
Thank you, Chief. And as Chief mentioned, these are being paid with cash, money that we received from the county, who received from the federal government as part of a reimbursement for COVID-related expenses. So glad we're able to make this investment. And thank you, Chief, for moving quickly on it. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 13, entering into a memorandum of understanding with Matthew Doward.
Motion to adopt
Move.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. Chief, explanation, if you will.
Thank you. In 2019, the Arundecoy Police Department entered into a relationship with Mr. Doward, who runs a Horse's Friend. What they do is they bring horses to urban settings as community engagement opportunities for those folks that don't always have the opportunity to get out into a rural setting. We've worked with Matt on several different events across town, from Bridge the Ridge to Project Tips, different pop-up apartment complex parties in the fall of 2019, which were huge hits in our community engagement. If this resolution was to pass, it would allow us to continue that relationship and work towards these wonderful community engagement opportunities into the 2021 calendar year.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions or comments from the board?
I just want to thank Chief for bringing this to us. Nobody knows what the future holds, but we appreciate you keeping the door open, Chief.
Very good. No further questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Item number 14, authorizing an amendment to the affiliation agreement between Monroe Community College and the Arundecoy Police Department.
Motion to adopt
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you. Chief, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. In October, the board authorized the Arundecoy Police Department to enter into an agreement with Monroe Community College regarding partnerships, opportunities for students to do internships with us, especially those involved in the criminal justice programs through MCC. Over the last few months, we've all seen the increased number of COVID cases, and MCC contacted us to make an amendment to the original agreement for the safety of all parties. This agreement has been reviewed by the town attorney for content in a manner that not only protects the town, but also the Arundecoy Police Department's interest.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions from the board? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 15, entering into an intermunicipal agreement and funding for the 2021 STOP DWI programs.
Motion to adopt
Moved.
in a second.
Second.
I'll give it to Mr. Weiner, just by a second. Chief, explanation, please.
Yes, thank you. This resolution, if adopted, would provide the opportunity for the Arundecoy Police Department and the town to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with Monroe County for the purpose of receiving STOP DWI monies that have been allocated for us. The IPD would receive from New York State through Monroe County an amount of $15,051.18 for STOP DWI, and an additional $4,111 from the STOP DWI Foundation Crackdown Grant Program. Money would be used for salary reimbursement as well as necessary supplies for DWI enforcement throughout the calendar year.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions on the resolution? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 16, ratifying agreement for nursing services for drive-through COVID-19 testing.
Motion to adopt
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kiley. The first of many resolutions you and Deputy Commissioner McGee will run us through. Please, an explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The resolution before the board this evening ratifies an agreement that was made in light of the pandemic and the local state of emergency that ongoes here in the town of Arundecoit. We onboarded several nurses from a local firm to administer the drive-through COVID-19 rapid tests. This occurred on Tuesday, December 1st and Wednesday, December 2nd. Total value is just less than $1,000. Since then, we've continued to have these drive-through events, now in greater partnership with Monroe County, who is administering the tests independent of this firm. But we certainly thank the firm for their partnership during that and those events, and we were able to test over 550 individuals during the just over 6 hours worth of testing for those 2 days.
Thanks, Commissioner. And you see the word ratifying in there. We're still in a state of emergency. It allows certain expedited procurement, but we do like the board to ratify those contracts afterwards. So we were able to move quickly with this. Nice job, Commissioner and Deputy Commissioner. I also want to thank the nursing service. You know, we were trying to set this up on very short notice. The question was, should we train our staff, or when the alternative of having capable nurses or medical technicians to do it at a pretty reasonable cost, it was a no-brainer, and one that I'm glad we moved forward with. So I want to thank the drive-through for their help with that. They're very good to have there. Any questions or comments? If you are in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Number 17, ratifying business associate agreement with the County of Monroe for COVID-19 testing.
Motion to adopt
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. Commissioner, an explanation?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. In a similar ilk to the last resolution, due to the state of emergency that we still are in due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the town authorized the supervisor to execute an agreement with Monroe County to provide associate member status. This associate member status really allowed town staff to be designated for the drive-through event, both on December 1st and December 2nd, and the subsequent testings that have occurred twice a week and will occur through the end of this month. So this would ratify the agreement, the authorized signature that the supervisor entered into, again, with Monroe County Department of Health.
Thanks. Well put. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Number 18, awarding bid for Bay Village Pump Station Replacement Project.
Motion to adopt
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Predacone. Deputy Commissioner McGee, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. In the continuation of our Ready Commission projects throughout town, this resolution would award the Bay Village Pump Station upgrade to Blue Heron Construction. Sealed bids were open December 1st, and Blue Heron was the most qualified, lowest bidder, and they were vetted by Labella and are deemed essential or deemed competent to do the project that will start in the spring, and they will do the project for the amount of $559,910.
Thanks, Ms. McGee. And just so folks know, that's a big number. The good news is 95% of that cost will be borne by the state of New York. We will bear the additional 5%, but this is a really good deal for us. Pump stations are not cheap. We replace them throughout town, but it's an opportunity for us to replace several of our pump stations paying a nickel on every dollar, and this is a good opportunity. I do think, in the interest of all taxpayers, across the state, this bid did come in somewhat lower than budgeted, so that's good. Is that right, Aaron?
Yes.
That's good. Okay, I'm running in my mouth. It was the counter, but so good value, good bidding situation. So I'm glad we're moving forward with this. Board members, any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 19, awarding bid for landscaping services at various Arundecoit town locations.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. Deputy Commissioner, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution awards the contract for landscaping services through various town locations to Cardinal Lawn and Landscape. The contract total was for $37,380. Cardinal Lawn and Landscape is also a contractor that's been utilized for years throughout town to plant right-of-way trees. So we're very excited for this partnership. It's a one-year contract with an option of a one-year extension.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 20, awarding bid for 2020 or newer model year sidewalk plow and authorizing an interfund transfer.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
Ms. Romeo, thank you. In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Freeman. Mr. Kiley, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution would authorize the purchase of one new Bombardier or Prenoth style sidewalk plow. This bid was established and put out, published on November 26th. Sealed bids were opened on December 4th. Syncon Equipment is the lowest responsible bidder for this piece of equipment in the amount of $173,350. Funding for this additional sidewalk plow comes from the CARES Act via the federal government, via the county that the supervisor articulated earlier with the police vehicle acquisitions. This addition to our sidewalk plow fleet will now bring our total numbers to 8. So it was just a matter of 6 years ago, we were at 4 sidewalk plows through this town, and now we are at 8. So a constant commitment to increasing services and being able to put forth a better product there during this snow and ice season. One last tidbit, this vehicle is in stock, and we hope to receive it very shortly.
May we never need to use it. It's wishful thinking, but no, I'm glad we're making this investment, and kudos to Bob. Bob is always very quick to encourage us to continue to enhance our fleet of sidewalk plows. It's something that I think that our residents want, and we're delivering on. So happy that we're putting this forward and paying cash for it, which is very favorable for the town. Any questions or comments?
I have a quick question, Bob. What kind of license do you need to drive the Bombardier? I love this name.
It is a no license requirement. So Councilwoman, if you'd like to come in, it is a tracked vehicle that looks similar to a tank.
Right.
They are very fun to drive, but you know, weary hours, they certainly are a little hard on the body as our employees.
Wear a helmet.
I'm gonna take you up on that. Thank you.
Wear a helmet.
And no, we are not instituting a plow your own sidewalk program for the town, okay? It would be largely inefficient. Not that our residents couldn't do it, but it would not be efficient. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item 21, awarding bid for Arundecoit Community Center furniture.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Deputy Commissioner, an explanation, please.
I'll take this one,
Oh,
Supervisor.
excuse me, Bob. I'm sorry.
You're okay, no worries.
Oh, you're right.
We put out an invitation to bid on November 19th for the furniture and fixtures and equipment for the Arundecoit Community Center project at Skyview on the Ridge. We did receive 2 qualified bids for those, which were publicly opened on December 10th. Out of those 2 bids, EM&N Marketing in the amount of $299,000 $277.75 was the lowest responsible bid for the FF&E package. So FF&E in general, this is the furniture inside the community center, from the desks to partitions, lamps, etc. So this came in a favorable fiscal advantage to the town. We had moved through this process, earmarking $334,000 for FF&E. Thus, we do come in under budget. These materials will not arrive at the facility for quite some time. We still do have several months ahead of us, but we hope that by spring, we will start to have some of this installed, and early summer, we will be ready.
Thanks, Commissioner, and kudos to our Recreation Director, Katrina Hall, and the rest of the SWBR team for their work on this, getting what we need in there, making sure it's adequate, looks nice, but also fiscally responsible. This is probably one of the last bids the board will accept in this process, and I'm probably eating my words, but we're near the end, I guess, as far as the board authorizing us to spend money on this awesome project. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted.
Item number 22, authorizing the purchase of one 2021 pickup truck with plow package and an inter-fund transfer.
Thank you. Now motion to adopt
Move.
in a second.
Second.
Thank you. Now Deputy Commissioner McGee, if you will.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution also utilizes the CARES Act reimbursement to procure one pickup with a plow package to replace one of our fleet for the Department of Public Works. The town utilized the state mini bid contract to purchase this vehicle from DeLacy Ford for the price of $35,200.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 23, authorizing the purchase of one 2021 pickup truck with plow package.
Motion to adopt.
Move.
Ms. Romeo, thank you. Mr. Perticone, would you like to second?
Second.
Testify. Okay. Ms. McGee, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. In a similar fashion, this is a procuring a similar truck, only this one is with a lift gate, and it's to utilizing highway funds to also replace one of the older trucks of our fleet for the Department of Public Works. This truck is also from DeLacy Ford, and it's in the total of $38,760.
Thanks, Deputy Commissioner. Just so folks know, these aren't just pretty trucks that we drive around town. These are used for plowing. In the summer months, they're used for whatever infrastructure maintenance we're doing. And this one has a lift gate, which is for salt. What's the lift gate for, Deputy Commissioner?
The lift gates for numerous activities, moving equipment and materials.
Thank you. Just a little bit more utility out of it. Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 24, authorizing the supervisor to execute an agreement with Monroe County for snow and ice services for 2020-2021 winter season.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. Commissioner, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. As this board knows and the general public knows, the town of Arundecoit plows the 87.25 lane miles for the county of Monroe within this town. As such, we do that on a chargeback basis. A 3-year average determines what the cost for plowing and salting the county highways are. This year, the 3-year average, due to the intensity of last year's snow and ice season, the average went up by nearly 6%, thus resulting in a chargeback of $3,565 per lane mile of county highway maintained. So this agreement solidifies that we will continue to perform those services on behalf of the County of Monroe.
Thank you, Bob. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 25, authorizing the supervisor to execute an agreement with Monroe County for all seasons work in Monroe County rights of way.
Motion to adopt.
Move.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Romeo. Commissioner, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution authorizes the supervisor to execute the agreement with the County of Monroe, to allow the town to perform work within the county right of way on behalf of the county, be it trimming trees, filling potholes, picking up roadside animals, roadside mowing, etc. So we work off of the hourly rates for our employees, plus the MAR service agreement, which is a flat fee for lane mile mowed, animals picked up, etc.
Thanks, Bob. Any questions for the commissioner? Hearing none, if you are in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have one aye and two ayes.
Aye.
Thank you. Anyone opposed? With a resounding 5-0 vote, the resolution is adopted. This is not a consent calendar, so we have to affirm, okay? Madam Clerk.
Item number 26, approving updating of cemetery fees.
Motion to adopt.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. In a second.
Now we're all talking.
Okay, I'll take that as a second from Councilman Perticone. Deputy Commissioner McGee, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution would authorize changes to the fee schedule for the Irondequoit Cemetery in 2021. The fees have not been assessed or changed in almost 10 years, so this is an effort to get us in line of not only increasing our fees that we've missed, but also to get us in line with fees that are being collected on a whole across the area.
Thanks, Mr. McGee. And I tell anytime a department head recommends fee increases, my first question is, what are other towns doing? And even when we canvass other towns, we generally come out more competitive with that, but we want to make sure that we're getting more in line with what other municipalities offer. So this kind of gets that alignment in place. And thank you, Ms. McGee, for providing the additional attachment with the complete breakdown. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Any questions?
No, thank you for the very complete motion, Mrs.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 27, authorizing the supervisor to enter into a stormwater control facility maintenance agreement.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Kylie, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution authorizes the town to enter into the maintenance agreement for the stormwater management facilities at the Durand Senior Housing, Providence, Durand Housing Development off of Culver Road. A development of that size has to have a stormwater pollution prevention plan, which will mitigate and attenuate peak flows and quality control for stormwater runoff. Associated with that, the developer, the agency conducting that development must attest that they will maintain the post-construction, the after effect, the stormwater ponds that you see in new developments for perpetuity. They must be maintained. This authorization would allow the town to ensure that if the developer does not, or this property does not thoroughly and adequately maintain those facilities, the town will move in to maintain those facilities and charge the firm for housing development back for the labor, equipment, materials necessary to maintain it. So this resolution would authorize us, the supervisor, to execute this maintenance agreement.
Thanks, Commish. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is adopted. last but not least of the DPW battery. Number
Item
28.
number 28, authorizing the supervisor to execute an intermunicipal agreement with the East Arundecoit Central School District concerning sharing of fuel facilities during emergencies.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
Moved.
And Ms. Romeo, thank you. In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. Commissioner, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Due to an emergency failure at the fueling island, the East Arundecoit Central School District has requested authorization to fuel at our new fueling station at the Department of Public Works. In the past, when the town fuel islands have gone down for unknown or unexpected issues, the town has had two options for emergency fuel. Those have been the East Arundecoit Central School District or the County of Monroe at Van Leer. So this resolution would codify an existing known emergency policy to allow the East Arundecoit Central School District to fuel at the Department of Public Works fuel island. There is a 2% administrative fee associated with the fuel purchased on behalf, but that is again charged back to the district.
Thanks. And Bob, thanks for your quick work along with Town Attorney Andrew Dean on this. This was, I think, late last week they came to us with this and able to turn it around in time for our board meeting. So I appreciate it and thank the board members for their consideration in the interim. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item 29, authorizing the supervisor to enter and amend various contracts with vendors for youth, family, and senior recreational programming for winter, spring 2021.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
Thank you, Mr. Perticone. And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. Ms. Hall, explanation, please. You've been waiting very patiently.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So this is our seasonal resolution to enter into various contracts for our contractors that run many of our recreation programs. And just like last season, we did put in verbiage so that we could amend the start dates or end dates of the programs based on the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
One
Item
quick
number
comment,
30.
Mr. Supervisor. I noticed the ice rink was up when I drove down Titus Avenue.
You know, it's like if you got it, it's an activity that can be done. We looked at the state guidelines. Obviously, if we were to, I mean, and last year, if you recall, it was a bad year for the ice rink. So if we are able to get ice, it's challenging on that lawn. And if we don't get ice this year, we might rethink it in subsequent years. But if we are able to get ice, we are able to do it safely under state guidelines. We will allow skating, obviously adhering to what the responsible way to do it from a social distancing, public health point of view. But yes, if anything, it's just nice. It's a little bit of sense of normalcy.
Yes.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you will.
Item number 30, authorizing the supervisor to enter into various contracts with independent contractors from local B90 for staffing of parking personnel, day, overnight supervisors, ticket takers, ticket sellers for McAvoy Park, Camp Eastman Sports Field, and various town special events.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
It's very cruel to have such a lengthy resolution title this late in a meeting. I'm also expecting Ms. Hall to propose a resolution changing the name of her department to like the Department of Fun, or so it's alphabetically.
Whatever starts
after,
with A, I'll take that.
Everyone wants to be after Public Works, or no one wants to be after Public Works, because a lot of nights it's just Katrina and I that are after Public Works. So we'll maybe next year we'll go and we'll alternate our order, or just throw Katrina a bone. But anyway, Ms. Hall, an explanation, if you will.
Sure. So this resolution brings forward the contracts for the individuals that we use for our various special events. And in the event we are able to host those events and need such ticket takers or security, we want to have those contracts executed. It also covers our parkers for any tournaments or anything at our sports fields as well. So all these contracts were in the resolution packet.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 31, authorizing the supervisor to execute an amendment to an agreement with Card Connect LLC for credit card services and leasing of card readers for the Recreation Department.
Thank you. Motion to adopt?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Hall, an explanation, please?
Thank you. Yes, so this is an amendment to last month's resolution in an effort to upgrade our technology and processes prior to moving to the community center. We are upgrading our credit card processing that we use for facility and program reservations. And after last month and doing some installs of our current credit card readers, it was determined that we do need an additional credit card reader and a signature is needed for such a purchase. So we are amending this contract to add an additional credit card reader in.
Thank you. This is probably a temporary measure. Hopefully the new facility will be able to use a wireless, but for the time being, this just gets us through that, as our staff cannot share. They have to have it at their workstation, and it's honestly relatively inexpensive, so convenient and efficient. So thank you for bringing this forth. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is adopted. A point of order, Madam Clerk. Board members have in their packets a draft local law to repeal Chapter 117 of the Code of the Town of Arundequoit. Can I have a motion to introduce said proposed law?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, the law, all those, I don't think we need a vote to introduce the law. Andrew, do we need a vote? No, okay. I think we just need someone to move it. Okay. Anyway, Madam Clerk, if you will, number 32.
Item number 32, calling for a public hearing on a local law to repeal Chapter 117 of the Arundequoit Code.
Motion to adopt?
Moved.
In a second?
Second.
Thank you. This would call a public hearing to consider a draft proposed local law, which would actually repeal a provision of the town code. The public hearing would be held next month at the regular town board meeting. The chapter of the town code in question is largely inconsistent with state law. Particularly, it relates to the process by which a entity wishes to cite a community home, which often serve those with developmental disabilities. State law has generally gravitated towards wanting to make sure that all members of our society are living an inclusive lifestyle. The old brick and mortar institutionalized residents thankfully have gone by the way of the dinosaur, or going by the way of the dinosaur, and the goal is to get as many of these residents into neighborhood community-based settings. As such, the state legislature through law has really made it clear that while there are guidelines and a process by which a local government can review and perhaps recommend alternative sites when these come up, the proposed law that the town has on the books really is inconsistent, and in my opinion puts up hurdles and sends a message to the outside world that Arundequoit is not welcoming of such proposals just simply by having so much red tape. So as such, we will this proposed law would repeal the section at question of town code. Any questions or comments?
Just thank you, Supervisor, for your thoughtfulness putting this together.
Thank you. It's also a very easy local law. It just repeals the section, but thank you, Councilwoman. Again, the public hearing will take place next month at 7:35 on January 19th, right here on Zoom, probably. No further questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 33, approving the special event license for the American Red Cross to hold blood drives at the Arundecoit Town Hall campus.
Motion to adopt.
Move.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. This shall unofficially be known as the Vecchio Amendment. So we hold, and especially during COVID, we hold many blood drives in town facilities. Often we have to go for board approval. This is just a little bit more practical and authorizes us to hold such events during the calendar year, as long as the entity holding it does have a certificate of insurance. In this case, it would be the Red Cross. So this removes the necessity of coming to the board every time the Red Cross wants to have a blood drive in our one of our facilities. And we honestly, I will say just anecdotally, we've hosted well over a dozen blood drives since the start of the pandemic. Often we're asked to do it on very short notice, sometimes within a matter of a week, and we're always happy to do that and allow the Red Cross to use our facilities. So, any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 34, approving the wages or salaries of certain town employees.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
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 Thank you. Before members for their consideration is and fixed as an attachment, would adjust certain salaries of employees of the town of Arundecoit. For the most part, these are employees who are in a white collar unit, as well as those who are non-represented by a union. We call them non-represented employees. The 2021 budget provided pretty much across the board, with a few exceptions, a 1.75% salary increase for our non-represented employees. As we passed earlier, a collective bargaining agreement with the white collar unit, which included for next year a $1,000 wage increase. We've come across some budget amendments and the availability of funds for the coming budget year that we wish to reallocate, invest in our employees who work very hard. This provides increases for all non-represented and white-collar employees, but does so in a progressive manner, meaning those at the top scale receive a 0.5% wage increase on top of their initial base increase, but then progressively has a increasing scale where it gets to the point where it's roughly 10% of some of our lower wage workers. We do this for two reasons. One, of course, we want to make sure we let our employees know we appreciate them and are investing in them, and are providing a living wage. Arundecoit historically has been on the lower side of paying across the board. Our median salaries compared to some of our cohorts are low, so we want to make sure that we're investing in our employees and letting them, making our place a welcoming workplace they want to stay. The other is, it's actually a simple reality. We lose a lot of employees to neighboring communities that pay higher wages for the same position. And I've had multiple employees during my tenure who have been just faced with the heartbreaking decision that, you know, they love working here, but they pursue another opportunity simply because the compensation is higher. We've worked over the past two budget cycles now, if this is adopted, to get those base salaries up where we're competitive with other towns. I think we made tremendous strides, and not just with our lower wage workers, but our those in the 25 to 75 percentile as well in the middle. This makes investments in them as well. So this is no new burden on our financial picture. This is money we recognize through actually lower interest rates through the sale of a bond anticipation note for the community center. And this would use roughly about 40% of those savings towards investing in our human capital here at Town Hall. So I've talked to the board. I thank you for your consideration of this, and I think this is something that recognizes the good work that the men and women who work for the town of Arundecoit perform on a daily basis, and especially this year, some of which sometimes is, I think, taken for granted, but I hope this sends the message that we certainly do appreciate our workers. Any questions or comments? Very good. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The the resolution is adopted. So this concludes the body of our work for tonight's regular town board meeting. Generally, I would say when the subsequent board meetings are to be held. I believe we have an but my agenda does not have that. I believe our organizational meeting will take place January 4th, Madam Clerk, is that correct?
Yes,
At 4 p.m.?
Monday the 4th,
Monday the 4th, 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
via the Zooms.
via Zoom.
And then we will have our regular town board workshop, most likely via Zoom, 4 p.m. on January 12th. The next regular town board meeting will be on January 19th, 7 p.m., most likely done virtually via Zoom. And I just want to, on behalf of the town, wish everyone a very safe and happy holiday season. For those of you already celebrating Hanukkah, and those of you who will be celebrating other holidays, or just enjoying the end of the year, please be safe, and hopefully 2021 is much comparatively a smoother sail, and happier days are not too off on the horizon. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Yeah.
Aye. Opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Have a pleasant evening, everyone.